When Dr. Margaret Wellington thought she'd expose a tech billionaire's child as a fraud, she never expected 8-year-old Alex Chen to turn the tables, or for his response about dyslexic kids to leave her speechless on live television. What happened? Next at MIT's Young Minds Big Ideas showcase became the moment that changed everything. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the MIT campus as a sleek black Tesla Model S pulled up to the curb. 8-year-old Alexander. Alex Chen bounced in the back seat, his small fingers drumming nervously on his tablet. Tonight was different. Tonight wasn't just another tech demo. Tonight, he'd face real questions from real professors. Live on stage. "Easy, buddy," his mother, Dr. Lisa Chen, said from the passenger seat. Her usually sharp eyes, the ones that caught bugs in code faster than anyone at Tesla, were softer now, focused on her son. "You've practiced this 100 times, Alex," nodded, but his stomach still did flips. Through the window, he could see Kresge Auditorium filling with people, scientists, reporters, parents with their own genius kids, all coming to see Young Minds Big Ideas, the event where kids like him showed off their inventions to some of the world's smartest adults. The car door opened, and a tall figure slid in beside him. Elon Musk, his father, looked tired but excited. His hair was messier than usual, and his SpaceX launch jacket still smelled faintly of rocket fuel. "Sorry I'm late," Elon said, ruffling Alex's already messy hair. The Falcon Heavy had a finicky sensor. "Did it land okay?" Alex asked, momentarily forgetting his nerves. "Perfect landing. Just like you're going to have tonight." Lisa turned around. "No pressure talk, remember? This is supposed to be fun." Right. Elon winked at Alex. "Just go up there and show them what Learn Buddy can do. Those kids you helped, they'll love seeing you represent them." Alex touched the special access badge hanging around his neck. Learn Buddy, his AI assistant that helped dyslexic kids read better. It had taken him 8 months to build, working after school in his dad's home office. The neural network had millions of parameters. The code was mostly his own, but tonight he'd have to prove it. They walked through the MIT building, past security, guards who nodded respectfully at Elon. Alex's polished shoes clicked against the marble floor. His navy blue suit felt too big, but his mom had insisted. "You want to look professional," she'd said. "Not like you're playing dress-up." Backstage, Alex could hear voices through the thin walls. His fellow presenters were already here. Maya Patel, 11 years old, who built a quantum computer in her garage. James Rodriguez, 10, whose invention cleaned ocean plastic using bacteria. They were all smarter than him, Alex thought. Older, too. "Remember what we practiced," Lisa whispered, straightening his tie. "Deep breaths. Speak clearly. And if you don't know something, say, 'I don't know, but I'd love to learn,'" Alex finished. A stage assistant poked her head in. "5 minutes, everyone. Dr. Wellington will be taking her seat soon." Alex's heart jumped. Dr. Margaret Wellington, Harvard, professor, psychology expert, the woman who'd written the book on child development. Literally, it was on his mom's bookshelf at home. She was famous for 2 things: brilliant research and brutal questions that made PhD students cry. "Dad?" Alex tugged Elon's sleeve. "What? If she asks something I can't answer?" Elon knelt down to Alex's eye level. "She will. That's the point. But you know what? I've been in rooms with rocket scientists, brain surgeons, and world leaders. You know what matters most? Being the smartest, being honest, being curious, and having the courage to admit when you need help." Elon tapped Alex's chest, right over his heart. "You've got all three, buddy." Through the stage curtain, Alex could see the audience filling up. There, in the third row, was Dr. Wellington. Even from here, he could tell she was intimidating. Gray hair pulled back tight, thick glasses, a folder of papers on her lap that looked heavy enough to contain the entire internet. "She looks mean," Alex whispered. "She looks careful," Lisa corrected. "There's a difference. She wants to make sure the science is real." "That's good. What if I mess up? What if everyone thinks I'm just a fake smart kid riding on Dad's success?" An old memory surfaced, something his cousin Sarah had told him when he first started working on LearnBuddy. Sarah was 12, struggled with dyslexia, and spent most of her time feeling stupid. "I just want to read like everyone else," she'd said, crying over a Harry Potter book. That night, Alex had opened his laptop and started coding. "You're not fake, Alex," said a new voice. Dr. Emily Jang had just entered backstage. Alex recognized her from the research papers he'd read. She was the scientist whose work had helped him fix a bug in his AI algorithm. "Dr. Jang?" Alex's eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" "I came to see the young programmer who not only read my paper but improved on it. Dr. Kumar from Stanford told me about your email. Smart thinking, questioning our assumptions about neural plasticity. Windows." Alex felt his face grow hot. "I just wanted to make sure my code was right. For the kids." "That's what makes you a real scientist, Alex. Not the age, not who your father is. The fact that you question everything." A bell chimed. Showtime. Maya and James lined up at the stage entrance. Alex took his place behind them. His tablet felt heavy in his hands. On the screen, LearnBuddy's startup screen showed a smiling cartoon brain wearing glasses. His dad squeezed his shoulder one last time. "Remember, Alex, you're not here to impress anyone. You're here to help kids read better. Everything else is just noise." The lights dimmed. The audience quieted. Through the curtain gap, Alex could see Dr. Wellington pulling out a pen, ready to take notes. Her expression looked skeptical already. Maya walked on stage first, her quantum physics demonstration ready. James followed with his ocean-cleaning bacteria samples. Then it was Alex's turn. As he stepped into the spotlight, tablet in hand, Alex thought about Sarah, about all the kids like her who struggled with letters that seemed to dance on the page, about the weeks of late nights writing code, testing algorithms, making mistakes, and trying again. The audience applauded politely as he walked to his spot. In the front row, his parents watched with nervous pride. Dr. Wellington's pen hovered over her paper, waiting. Alex cleared his throat, looked out at the sea of faces, and began. "Hi, I'm Alex Chen, and I want to tell you about LearnBuddy, the AI friend who's helped over 300 kids learn to read better." The real test hadn't even started yet, but Alex felt a small spark of courage light up inside him. Whatever happened next, he was ready to try. The auditorium held its breath as Alex connected his tablet to the big screen. 800 people watched a cartoon brain with glasses appear above him. Some smiled. Others leaned forward with serious expressions. "LearnBuddy looks like a regular AI," Alex began, his voice carrying further than he'd expected. "But it's special because it adapts to each kid's unique brain patterns." He swiped to his first slide. Numbers and charts filled the screen, but Alex kept his language simple. Kids with dyslexia process letters differently. Their brains work perfectly, just differently. LearnBuddy learns how each child reads best. Maya. Patel sat to his left, having just finished explaining quantum entanglement using colorful Lego blocks. She'd connected quantum particles to toy bricks so everyone could understand. Brilliant stuff. James Rodriguez waited on Alex's right, his water purification device sitting on a small table. He'd shown how bacteria could eat ocean plastic and turn it into clean water. Amazing work! Now it was Alex's turn to shine. "Let me show you what happens when LearnBuddy meets a real student," Alex said, clicking to a video. A girl appeared on screen. Not Sarah, but another dyslexic student he'd worked with. "This is Emma. She's 9. Reading was hard for her." The video showed Emma struggling with a simple sentence. Letters jumbled together. Words seemed to move. The audience made sympathetic sounds. Even Dr. Wellington shifted in her seat. "Watch what happens when LearnBuddy helps," Alex continued. The screen split. On one side, Emma used traditional reading methods. On the other, she used LearnBuddy. The AI highlighted words in soft colors, broke them into parts, and offered gentle hints. 3 months later, Emma read smoothly. Her face lit up with joy as she finished a whole book. The audience erupted in applause. LearnBuddy helped Emma and 299 other kids improve their reading speed by an average of 300%, Alex said proudly. But more importantly, they started loving books again. As the clapping died down, Dr. Wellington stood up. She held a microphone in one hand and a thick notebook in the other. Her gray hair glinted under the stage lights. Her eyes, sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses, focused on Alex. "Impressive demonstrations, children," she said, her voice carrying authority. "Now, for some real questions." She turned to Maya first. "Ms. Patel, your quantum explanation is charming, but can you tell us the mathematical foundation behind quantum superposition?" Maya's eyes sparkled. "Of course. The wave function collapses when observed, following Schrödinger's equation." She launched into an explanation that made even the professors nod approvingly. Dr. Wellington asked James about bacterial mutation rates in his plastic-eating bacteria. James answered confidently, even drawing diagrams in the air to explain protein structures. Then she turned to Alex. Her tone changed, grew sharper. "Mr. Chen, your AI is certainly pretty, but it's built on existing algorithms, isn't it? Did your father's team do the actual programming?" The question hit Alex like cold water. In the audience, he saw his father tense up. His mother's lips pressed together in a tight line. "No, ma'am," Alex answered, his voice smaller than before. "I wrote most of the code myself. My dad helped with the neural network architecture, but the innovation is mine." His voice trembled slightly. "I spent 8 months building it." Dr. Wellington's eyebrows rose. 8 months? And you're telling me an 8-year-old understands? Neural networks? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some people whispered to their neighbors. A few reporters typed frantically on their laptops. Alex felt his cheeks burn. "I do understand them," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I had to learn everything to help kids like my cousin Sarah. She couldn't read well, and I wanted to fix that." "Fix that?" Dr. Wellington's voice carried disbelief. "Child, reading difficulties are complex psychological and neurological issues. You can't simply fix them with an app." "LearnBuddy isn't just an app," Alex replied. "It's an adaptive learning system that identifies how each brain processes information and adjusts accordingly. It uses machine learning to—" "Machine learning," Dr. Wellington interrupted. "How many parameters does your neural network have?" The question was sharp, quick. Alex felt Maya and James glance at him sympathetically. This wasn't the gentle questioning they'd received. 5 million parameters, organized in 17 layers, Alex responded automatically. "And the dropout rate?" zero point 0.3 for training, 0 for inference, activation functions, ReLU for hidden layers, softmax for output. Dr. Wellington blinked. These were technical details most college students would struggle with. The audience leaned in, sensing something important happening. How do you handle overfitting? She pressed. Early stopping, L2 regularization, and data augmentation, Alex answered, gaining confidence. I also use cross-validation with K-fold splitting. The auditorium grew quieter. This wasn't the conversation anyone had expected. Dr. Wellington's questions came faster now, like arrows. Training. Data size? 50,000 samples initially, expanded to 200,000 with augmentation. Batch size? Started with 32, optimized to 64 for better convergence. Learning rate scheduler? Cozying annealing with warm restarts. A physicist in the third row actually gasped. These weren't simple questions. They were the kind of technical details that separated real machine learning experts from pretenders. But Dr. Wellington wasn't satisfied. She snapped her notebook shut with force. Impressive memorization, young man. But anyone can memorize technical terms. Real understanding goes deeper. She paused, and Alex noticed she was looking at his father. Her next words came slowly, deliberately. Tell me, Mr. Chen, how exactly did you choose the loss function for your multi-classification problem? And explain why that choice is mathematically sound. The auditorium fell completely silent. This was no longer a child-friendly demonstration. This was a graduate-level examination. Live on stage. Alex felt his heart pound. This was harder than anything he'd prepared for. He looked at his parents, his mom's encouraging nod, his dad's steady gaze. Then he remembered Sarah's smile when she'd read her first full chapter using Learn Buddy. Taking a deep breath, Alex began to explain. I chose sparse categorical cross-entropy because we're dealing with mutually exclusive categories of reading, difficulties. The mathematical soundness comes from its ability to penalize confident wrong answers more than uncertain ones, which is crucial when working with diverse learning patterns. As he spoke, something shifted in the room. The audience sat up straighter. Dr. Wellington's expression changed from skeptical to something else. Dr. Wellington's expression had shifted to something unreadable. Was it surprise? Concern? Or was she impressed despite herself? The audience felt it too, an electrical charge in the air as the questions grew more intense. Adequate, she said finally, though her tone suggested more than adequacy. She pulled out a thick folder from beneath her chair. Let's dig deeper into your technical understanding. Alex's stomach tightened. The folder looked like it weighed as much as his backpack. Papers spilled from the edges, covered in dense mathematical equations. Can you explain back propagation? Dr. Wellington asked, her voice carrying a challenge. Alex nodded, remembering his late-night study sessions. Back propagation is like teaching a dog new tricks by adjusting the rewards. When the network makes a mistake, the error signals travel backward through the layers, telling each part how to improve. Oversimplified, Dr. Wellington said quickly, but not wrong. What about gradient descent? It's like finding the lowest valley by walking downhill, Alex responded. The algorithm takes small steps in the direction that reduces error the most. Each step adjusts the weights to make better predictions. The audience murmured appreciatively. These were difficult concepts, but Alex explained them clearly. In the front row, his father watched intently, ready to intervene if things went too far. Dr. Wellington's face reddened slightly. This wasn't going as she'd planned. Let's try something more specific. What's the vanishing gradient problem? When you have too many layers, The error signals get smaller and smaller as they travel backward, Alex explained. It's like whispering a message through a long line of people. By the end, nobody can hear the original words. And your solution? Residual connections, like shortcut paths through the network. Also, careful weight initialization using Xavier or He methods. A ripple of whispers spread through the auditorium. These weren't just memorized answers. Alex was demonstrating real understanding. Dr. Wellington's voice grew sharper, more urgent. Does it bother you that people might think you're just using Daddy's money and connections? The personal attack caused a wave of uncomfortable shifting in the audience. Maya and James looked at each other with concern. This had gone beyond technical questioning. Alex's voice broke slightly. My dad taught me that what matters is helping people. My AI helps kids like my cousin Sarah read better. That's why I made it. He took a breath, steadier now. The code doesn't care who wrote it. It only cares if it works. Touching sentiment, Dr. Wellington said, but her tone softened just slightly. Let's return to technical matters. What about the bias-variance trade-off in your model? If the model is too simple, it underfits, high bias. Too complex, it overfits, high variance. I balanced them using cross-validation and ensemble methods. Ensemble methods? Explain. I combined multiple models, like asking several friends for advice instead of just one. Random forests, gradient boosting, and a custom neural network. Dr. Wellington pulled out a paper from her folder. I've reviewed your AI's research paper. It cites work from Dr. Rajesh Kumar at Stanford. Did you know Dr. Kumar says he's never heard of you? Gasps echoed through the auditorium. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Alex's face drained of color. In the front row, Elon stood up abruptly, fury flashing across his face. But Alex caught his father's eye and shook his head slightly. Dr. Wellington, Alex said quietly, his voice small but clear. Dr. Kumar wrote that paper in 2019. I was 5 years old then. Exactly my point. How could a kindergartner understand advanced machine learning? I didn't. But when I started building LearnBuddy last year, I read his paper. I found errors in his third equation that affected the model's accuracy by 12%. The auditorium went completely silent. The claim was bold, almost unbelievable. Errors? Dr. Wellington's voice dripped with skepticism. A child finding errors in a Stanford professor's work? That's impossible. Would you like me to show you? Alex pulled out his tablet, his hands trembling slightly. I even emailed Dr. Kumar last month. He was excited to hear from me. Any child can send emails, Dr. Wellington dismissed. Show us real proof. Alex's fingers flew across his tablet screen. The main display showed complex mathematical equations with red circles highlighting specific errors. In equation 3.7, the normalization factor should be divided by n1, not n, when dealing with sample variance rather than population variance. This creates a bias in the loss calculation that compounds over iterations. Some professors in the ECHOV audience leaned forward, studying the equations. A few pulled out their own devices to verify the claims. The second error is in the learning rate decay schedule, Alex continued, gaining momentum. Kumar used exponential decay, but for this specific problem, cosine annealing with warm restarts works better because— Enough, Dr. Wellington interrupted. This is getting ridiculous. Real understanding comes from years of study, not from playing with computers in Silicon Valley mansions. The audience reacted immediately. Some people began to boo. Others shouted, "That's unfair!" A reporter in the back stood up, clearly planning to ask a question. Dr. Wellington, said the moderator, trying to restore order, perhaps we should— No, Alex interrupted softly, surprising everyone with his calm tone. He looked directly at Dr. Wellington. May I ask you a question? Caught off guard, the professor nodded slowly. In your 2018 paper on cognitive development, you wrote about neural plasticity windows. You concluded that mathematical reasoning ability is largely fixed by age 7. But recent research shows these windows are more flexible than previously thought. How do you reconcile this with your conclusions about early learning limits? The auditorium fell silent again. The question was sophisticated, respectful, and precisely targeted. Dr. Wellington's confidence visibly wavered. Well, the research is still evolving. Actually, Alex continued gently, Dr. Emily Jiang published new findings just 2 months ago. Her study of 5,000 children showed that neural plasticity for quantitative reasoning remains high until at least age 11. She even referenced your work as a baseline for comparison. Whispers spread like wildfire through the audience. Some attendees immediately began fact-checking on their phones. A television reporter in the 5th row seemed particularly excited, furiously taking notes. How could you possibly know that paper? Dr. Wellington asked, her authority cracking. I read it because I was trying to understand why kids with dyslexia learn differently. Different learning paths, different neural pathways. Dr. Jiang's research helped me improve my AI's algorithm. I adjusted the training methodology based on her findings about plasticity windows. Dr. Wellington stared at Alex. The 8-year-old stood there, tablet in hand, having just cited current research that contradicted her own established work. But he hadn't done it to attack. He'd done it to explain his own learning journey. The power dynamic in the room had completely shifted. Maya and James looked at their fellow presenter with new respect. The audience buzzed with energy. Some professors were comparing notes with each other. Elon Musk sat back down slowly, a strange mix of pride and concern on his face. His son was handling this better than many adults would, but this had gone far beyond a simple demonstration. Dr. Wellington opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. You really did this all yourself? Alex nodded quickly, his voice barely above a whisper. I had lots of help. My parents answered questions when I got stuck. But the coding, the research, the testing, that was me. Dr. Wellington glanced at her thick folder, then back at Alex. Something in her expression was changing. The hard edges were softening, though confusion remained. You said you emailed Dr. Kumar. What exactly did he say? Alex's fingers danced across his tablet. Would you like to see? The main screen filled with an email thread. The audience could read from rajesh.kumarastanford.edu to alex.chen.kid.coderugmail.com. Subject, EERE. Question about your 2019 ML paper, Alex. I'm impressed by your observation. You're absolutely right about equation 3.7. That error has been bothering me for years, but I never caught the exact issue. Your solution is elegant. Would you be interested in collaborating on a revision? Best regards, Dr. Rajesh Kumar. The auditorium buzzed with excitement. Dr. Wellington stared at the screen, her folder slipping slightly in her hands. This is real? She asked. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Kumar has been helping me understand advanced concepts. He even invited me to video call with his graduate students next week. Dr. Wellington, called a voice from the back. Everyone turned to see a man standing in the last row. I'm Dr. Miguel Santos from the Journal of Machine Learning. We've been following Alex's work. His approach to adaptive learning is revolutionary. More voices joined in from the audience. The International Society for Child Psychology wants to study his methodology. Nature Publishing has asked for a peer review of his code. The European Union's AI Ethics Committee cited his work last month. Dr. Wellington looked overwhelmed. The folder slipped further, and several papers fell to the floor. Maya quickly bent to help pick them up. I don't understand, Dr. Wellington said, louder than intended. How is this possible? 8 years old? Finding errors in peer-reviewed research? Creating AI that helps hundreds of children? Alex stepped forward slightly. Dr. Wellington, may I tell you something? She nodded, looking smaller somehow. Last year, my cousin Sarah cried every night doing homework. She's really smart, but reading felt like torture for her. Her parents hired tutors. They bought special books. Nothing worked. Alex's voice grew stronger. Sarah told me she felt stupid. But she's not stupid. Her brain just processes information differently. I had to help her. The auditorium was completely quiet now. Even the reporters had stopped typing. So I started learning everything I could about dyslexia, about AI, about how brains work. Yes, I'm 8. Yes, I have amazing parents who support me. Yes, I get to work with incredible people. But none of that changes why I coded Learn Buddy. He looked directly at Dr. Wellington. I did it because Sarah deserves to love reading. Because all kids deserve to feel smart. Because their brains aren't broken. They just need different tools. Dr. Wellington's face was flushed now, but not with anger. She looked at her folders, then at Alex, then at the screen still showing his technical explanations. In your opinion, she said slowly, what's the most important factor in helping children learn? Alex didn't hesitate. Belief. Adults have to believe kids can learn, and kids have to believe in themselves. Everything else, the technology, the AI research, the algorithms, they're just tools. And you believe this? This AI of yours increases that belief? I know it does. Sarah finished her first novel 2 months ago. She's reading at grade level now. But more than that. Alex paused, smiling. She told me reading feels like having a superpower now, not a curse. Dr. Wellington was quiet for a long moment. Then she did something no one expected. She walked onto the stage, not to challenge Alex, not to demand more proof. She walked directly to where he stood and knelt down to his eye level. Alex Chen, she said clearly, I owe you an apology. The auditorium held its breath. I came here tonight with preconceptions. I was wrong to question your work so harshly. More importantly, I was wrong to let my skepticism override what's obvious. You've created something remarkable. She took a deep breath. I'm a professor. I'm supposed to nurture young minds, to encourage scientific curiosity. Instead, I let my doubt about your age, about the very possibility of what you've accomplished, cloud my judgment. Standing up, she addressed the entire auditorium. This young man has reminded me of something I'd forgotten. Learning doesn't respect age boundaries. Curiosity doesn't wait for credentials. Innovation doesn't require decades of experience. She turned back to Alex. Would you still be willing to share your research with me? To help me understand how you've bridged the gap between AI and human learning in ways my field is still trying to grasp? Alex's eyes widened. You want to work with me? I want to learn from you, Dr. Wellington corrected. And perhaps, together, we can help even more children. The auditorium erupted. Not just polite applause, but genuine celebration. People stood up. Some cheered. Others wiped their eyes. Reporters rushed to capture every angle of this unexpected moment. Maya and James beamed at their fellow presenter. This was more than a successful demonstration. This was a bridge being built between a child's innovative spirit and academic tradition. Elon Musk watched from the front row, his usually stoic expression breaking into a proud smile. Lisa Chen was crying openly now, all pretense of professional composure gone. But Alex's favorite reaction was from Dr. Emily Zhang, who had started a standing ovation and was mouthing, "Brilliant!" from across the room. The tension had broken. The challenge had become collaboration. The skepticism had transformed into wonder. And in the back of the auditorium, a quiet 8-year-old's cousin named Sarah, watching via live stream, whispered to her parents, "See, I told you Alex was magic." As the cheering died down, the moderator stepped forward with a microphone. "This has been quite an evening. Let's move to our final segment, a question and answer session with our remarkable young presenters." Dr. Wellington, still standing close to Alex, raised her hand. "Actually, I have one more question. Not technical this time." She turned to face Alex directly, her voice softer but clear enough for everyone to hear. "Alex, you mentioned belief, that believing in children is what matters most. But I'm curious about something deeper. What do you see as the biggest risk as AI becomes more advanced?" The question hung in the air. This wasn't about code or algorithms. This was different. Alex thought for a moment, his tablet forgotten at his side. The biggest risk? Yes. When artificial intelligence becomes smarter than humans, what should we worry about most? The auditorium fell silent. Maya and James looked interested too. Even the reporters seemed to sense this was an important moment. Alex took a deep breath. His voice, when it came, was thoughtful and clear. "The biggest risk is forgetting to be kind." Dr. Wellington blinked. "That's not a technical answer." "But it's the most important one," Alex replied. "My dad always says that technology without wisdom is dangerous. Like, AI might become really smart, smarter than all of us. But what if it doesn't understand why we help our friends when they're sad?" He paused, looking at Dr. Wellington. "Or why it's wrong to make someone feel stupid just because they learn differently." The reference wasn't lost on anyone. Dr. Wellington nodded slowly. "If AI becomes super intelligent but lacks empathy," Alex continued, "it might make perfect logical decisions that hurt people. It's like when kids at school are really good at math, but use their smarts to make others feel dumb instead of helping them learn." The audience stirred. Some people exchanged meaningful glances. Others pulled out phones to capture this moment. "So you're saying," Dr. Wellington said, "that emotional intelligence matters more than processing power?" "I'm saying they both matter. We need grown-ups and AI to both have good hearts, not just smart brains." A strange quiet settled over the auditorium. This 8-year-old wasn't just talking about code. He was talking about the future of humanity. "That's philosophically interesting," Dr. Wellington said finally, "but hardly scientific." "Actually," interrupted a voice from the back, "that's possibly the most mature answer to AI safety I've heard in years." Everyone turned. A woman in a blue dress stood up in the last row. "Dr. Zhang?" Dr. Wellington gasped. "Yes, I'm Dr. Emily Zhang, and I wanted to meet the young man who not only read my paper but built on it." She walked forward through the rows. "Alex, your AI implementation is brilliant. But what you just said about kindness, that's the insight most researchers are missing." Dr. Zhang reached the stage and climbed the steps. "I've been following your work through Dr. Kumar. We're both excited to collaborate with you. But tonight," she smiled at Alex, "tonight you've shown something beyond technical skill. The moderator stepped in. Dr. Zhang, we're honored by your presence. Would you like to add anything? Actually, Dr. Zhang said, looking between Alex and Dr. Wellington, I'd like to propose something. Alex, would you consider working with Dr. Wellington and me on a new research project? We're calling it Empathetic AI, building systems that don't just solve problems, but understand hearts. Alex's eyes went wide. Really? You want me to help? Not just help, Dr. Zhang clarified. We want you to lead the childhood development aspects. Your insights about learning patterns could revolutionize how AI interacts with young minds. Dr. Wellington looked surprised, then thoughtful. Dr. Zhang, are you serious? Completely. The three of us bring different perspectives. Alex understands how children think. You're an expert in child psychology. I specialize in neural networks. Together, we could create something truly groundbreaking. The auditorium buzzed with excitement. Reporters were frantically typing. Other professors were huddling together, discussing the implications. Alex looked at his parents. Elon was grinning proudly. Lisa was wiping tears from her eyes while trying to maintain professional composure. Dr. Wellington, Alex said softly, I'd really like that. I have so many questions about neural plasticity and emotional development. And Dr. Zhang, I've been wondering about applying your research to specific learning disabilities beyond dyslexia. Dr. Wellington smiled, genuinely smiled, for the first time that evening. I believe I owe you a proper introduction, young researcher. May I call you Alex? And would you call me Dr. Margaret? I'd like that, Dr. Margaret. As the three shook hands on stage, something magical happened. The earlier tension transformed into possibility. What had started as a challenge had become a collaboration. 3 generations of researchers, united by curiosity and a desire to help children learn. The moderator tried to wrap up the event, but the audience wasn't ready to leave. Questions flew from every direction. Alex, will Learn Buddy be available for other learning disabilities? Dr. Wellington, how will this change your research approach? Dr. Zhang, is this the beginning of a new field in AI? As they answered, Alex caught sight of the live stream camera. Somewhere, Sarah was watching. His whole reason for starting this journey. Dr. Margaret, he said during a quiet moment, there's someone I'd like you to meet. Well, virtually. Her name is Sarah. She's the reason I built LearnBuddy. I'd be honored, Dr. Wellington replied. And for the first time, Alex could tell she truly meant it. The press conference continued for another 45 minutes. Stories were shared. Plans were made. Email addresses were exchanged. But the real magic had already happened. In the front row, Elon leaned over to Lisa. Think they'll change the world? Lisa watched Alex laughing with 2 of the world's leading researchers. I think they already are. And in homes across the globe, children with learning differences watched the live stream with new hope. If an 8-year-old could turn his challenges into solutions, if a skeptical professor could become an ally, if AI could learn to be kind, what else was possible? The event ended, but the real story was just beginning. As the audience began to file out, Alex started feeling the weight of what had just happened. His hands shook slightly as he packed up his tablet. Everything had changed so fast. Dr. Wellington. Dr. Margaret approached him with a gentle expression. Alex, before we dive into our research partnership, I want to ask you something important. Are you sure you want to do this? Academic research can be challenging, even for adults. Alex looked up at her, then at Dr. Zhang, who was discussing logistics with his parents. The lights were dimming in the auditorium as cleanup crews moved in. Dr. Margaret, he said quietly, can I show you something real quick? She nodded, curious. Alex pulled out his phone and opened his messages. This is from this morning, before we came here. He showed her a text thread with Sarah. Sarah. Alex. Are you nervous about tonight? Alex. Super nervous. What if I mess up? Sarah. Remember when I was scared I'd never read good? Alex. Yeah. Sarah. You taught me that being scared is okay. Trying anyway is brave. Sarah. You're the bravest person I know. Tonight they'll see that too. Dr. Margaret read the messages, her expression softening. Your cousin sounds wise. She is. Way more than people think. Just like you're way nicer than you seemed at first. Dr. Margaret laughed. A real laugh. I suppose I was rather harsh, wasn't I? A little, Alex admitted. But I get why. Lots of kids probably try to fake being smart. You were just checking if I was real. And you certainly are, Dr. Zhang interrupted, joining them. Alex, your parents and I were talking. Would you be interested in presenting your findings at the International Conference on Educational AI next month? It's in Geneva. Alex's eyes widened. Switzerland? If your parents approve, of course. Dr. Margaret and I will be presenting our research proposal there. It would be perfect to have you demonstrate LearnBuddy. Actually, Dr. Margaret said, pulling out her phone, I have another idea. What if we video call Sarah right now? I'd love to meet her before we start our research. Alex practically bounced on his toes. Really? You want to meet Sarah? Absolutely. She seems to understand something about learning that took me 40 years to realize. They found a quiet corner backstage. Alex dialed Sarah's number. Within seconds, a familiar face appeared on screen. Alex! Sarah squealed. You were amazing! Mom and I were jumping up and down. Sarah, I want you to meet Dr. Margaret Wellington. She's the professor from Harvard I told you about. Sarah's eyes went round. The scary one? Dr. Margaret chuckled. Not so scary anymore, I hope. Sarah, I wanted to thank you. Your cousin told me that helping you learn to read was why he created LearnBuddy. Oh, that's just Alex being nice. I was the guinea pig. Sarah grinned. But seriously, Dr. Wellington, Alex is the best teacher ever. He never made me feel stupid. Call me Dr. Margaret. And Sarah, I want you to know something. Dr. Margaret's voice became serious. Your cousin didn't just create an AI tonight. He reminded me why I became a teacher in the first place. Because all kids deserve to learn? Sarah asked. Exactly. Sometimes adults forget that. We get caught up in testing and proving ourselves instead of helping others grow. Dr. Zhang leaned into the frame. Sarah, we're starting a new research project about AI that understands how children learn. Would you be willing to help us? Your insights could help millions of kids. Sarah looked at Alex, then back at the screen. You want me to help with real research? Real research, Alex confirmed. Just like you helped me test new versions of LearnBuddy. This is the coolest thing ever, Sarah exclaimed. Wait till I tell my friends. As they ended the call, Alex noticed something. The auditorium was nearly empty now, but a small group of people had gathered near the stage. Parents with children. Some of the kids had laptops or tablets with them. Dr. Margaret, Dr. Zhang, Alex said, pointing. Look, they walked over together. A mother stepped forward holding her daughter's hand. Dr. Wellington, we saw the live stream at home. My daughter Emma wanted to meet Alex. The girl, about 9 years old, stepped forward shyly. I use LearnBuddy every day, she said softly. It helps me with my reading. Alex recognized her immediately. Emma, you're the one from my demo video. She nodded, then spoke directly to Dr. Margaret. Dr. Wellington, before LearnBuddy, I used to cry during reading time. Now, I love books. Alex didn't just make a computer program. He made something that believes in us. Dr. Margaret knelt down to Emma's level. You're absolutely right, Emma. And we're going to make sure LearnBuddy helps even more children like you. More families approached. Kids who used LearnBuddy, teachers who had seen remarkable improvements in their students, parents who had watched their struggling children find confidence again. As Alex watched Dr. Margaret interact with each child, really listen to them, ask about their experiences, take notes on her phone, he realized something profound had happened tonight. The challenge hadn't just been about proving his technical skills, it had been about bridging two worlds, the world of academic research and the world of everyday kids, who just wanted to learn. Ready to change the world, partner? Dr. Zhang asked, extending her hand for a fist bump. Alex bumped back, grinning. With Dr. Margaret and Sarah and all these amazing kids? Let's do it. As they walked out together, researcher, professor, and 8-year-old inventor, Alex's tablet chimed with a notification. Another message from Sarah. Sarah, told you they'd see the magic. Now go change the world, cousin. But don't forget ice cream on Sunday. Alex showed the message to his new colleagues. They both laughed. Ice cream on Sunday, Dr. Margaret agreed. Some things are more important than research. But maybe, Dr. Zhang suggested with a wink, we can brainstorm over ice cream? Alex looked at the two brilliant women who had gone from strangers to partners in one incredible evening. Best research team ever, he declared, and as they stepped out into the cool night air, none of them knew that their collaboration would indeed change how the world thought about AI, learning, and the untapped potential in every child. But they were about to find out. 6 months later, the world looked different. Alex stood on the stage of the United Nations Educational Summit in New York City. This time, he wasn't nervous. This time, Dr. Margaret and Dr. Zhang were beside him, not questioning him. When LearnBuddy first launched for public use, Alex began, speaking to an audience of education ministers from 50 countries. We had 300 users. Today, we have 3 million children reading better because they found the right tools for their unique brains. The screen behind him showed a map of the world, dotted with glowing points where LearnBuddy was being used. Europe, Asia, Africa, South America. Everywhere children struggled with reading, they now had hope. Dr. Margaret took the microphone next. What Alex and his cousin Sarah taught me was simple but revolutionary. We were approaching learning disabilities backwards. Instead of trying to fix children, we needed to build tools that celebrated different ways of thinking. 6 months ago, she would have said this was impossible. Now, she was co-author on 12 research papers about adaptive learning, and 3 more were in review. Dr. Zhang tapped the screen, showing brain scan comparisons. Our research shows that when children use empathetic AI, systems that adapt to emotional responses as well as cognitive ones, their neural pathways strengthen 40% faster than with traditional methods. In the audience, world leaders took notes. But Alex's favorite part of these presentations wasn't the fancy charts or statistics. It was what came next. We'd like to introduce you to some of the children who've shaped our research, Dr. Margaret announced. The screen split into video windows. Sarah appeared from California, beaming. Emma joined from Boston. A boy named Marco connected from Barcelona. A girl named Amara waved from Nairobi. A dozen children who'd gone from struggling readers to confident learners. Tell us about your experience with LearnBuddy, Dr. Zhang prompted. It changed my life, Sarah said simply. Not just the reading. It helped me believe I was smart, just different. Before, I thought books were my enemy, Emma added. Now I'm reading 3 grade levels ahead. But more importantly, I want to read. One by one, the children shared their stories. Not just about reading improvement, but about confidence gained, friendships formed, and dreams discovered. The education ministers listened intently. Many wiped their eyes. After the children logged off, Dr. Margaret addressed the room. This isn't just about one AI program. This is about reimagining education itself. When we start from a place of believing in each child's potential rather than focusing on their deficits, we unlock human potential. The economic impact alone is staggering, Dr. Zhang added, clicking to a new slide. Early interventions with empathetic AI reduce special education costs by 60% while improving outcomes by over 200%. But the human impact? That's immeasurable. Alex raised his hand shyly. Could I say something? The 3,000 attendees turned their attention to the 9-year-old on stage. All the fancy research is cool, Alex began. But the real secret isn't in the code. It's remembering that every kid, every person, wants to be understood. Whether you're 8 or 80, whether you have dyslexia or not, everyone deserves tools that help them shine. The audience erupted in applause. Not polite conference applause, but genuine, enthusiastic celebration. After the presentation, they were swarmed by ministers wanting to bring LearnBuddy to their countries, tech companies offering partnerships, researchers proposing new studies. But Alex's favorite moment came in the quiet after the chaos. Dr. Margaret found him sitting in a corner, video calling Sarah. "How does it feel?" she asked. "To be changing the world at 9 years old?" Alex thought about it. "It feels like the beginning. Sarah says there are still kids at her school who struggle. Kids who don't have tablets or internet. Kids in hospitals who can't go to school." He looked up at Dr. Margaret. "I think we've solved one problem, but there are more." Dr. Margaret smiled. "Spoken like a true researcher. Good thing you have a team now." Dr. Zhang appeared with 3 cups of hot chocolate. "Actually, Alex, your parents and I have been talking. How would you feel about opening the LearnBuddy Institute? A place where kids, teachers, and researchers can work together on education technology? Is that really possible?" "With you leading the Youth Development Division," Dr. Margaret confirmed. "We've received funding from 5 countries already." Alex thought about a year ago, sitting in his dad's office, just trying to help his cousin read. How one small idea had grown into something he never imagined. "Can Sarah be my co-director?" he asked. "Already planned on it," Dr. Zhang grinned. As they packed up to leave, Alex noticed his tablet had dozens of new notifications. Messages from children around the world, some in languages he couldn't read, but the pictures were universal. Kids holding books, smiling, learning. His phone buzzed with a message from Elon. "Dad, proud of you, buddy. Mars can wait. You're changing Earth first." Alex showed it to his team. They laughed, but Dr. Margaret got thoughtful. "You know, Alex, your father's right about one thing. The empathy and problem-solving skills you're developing, they'll be crucial for humanity's future, whether we're on Earth or Mars." "One step at a time, Dr. Margaret," Alex replied wisely. "First, let's make sure every kid on Earth can read. Then, we'll worry about space." As they walked out of the United Nations building, past statues of great leaders and thinkers, Alex realized something. He wasn't the same nervous 8-year-old from MIT's stage, but he was still the same kid who just wanted to help his cousin. Sometimes the biggest revolutions start with the smallest acts of kindness. His tablet chimed one more time. A message from an unknown number. Unknown. Hi, Alex. I'm Lucia from Mexico. I couldn't read until I used LearnBuddy. Now I'm writing my first story. Thank you for believing in kids like us. Alex showed the message to Dr. Margaret and Dr. Zhang. They didn't need words. They just walked together into the crisp autumn air, ready for whatever came next. After all, they had a world to change and ice cream to share on Sunday. Sunday afternoon at the Musk family compound in Palo Alto was different now. Sarah sat on the living room floor, her laptop open, video chatting with children from 6 different countries. Alex bounced between the kitchen and the living room, carrying bowls of ice cream like an expert waiter. "Chocolate chip for Marco in Barcelona," he announced, setting down one bowl. "Cookies and cream for Amara in Nairobi." Dr. Margaret Wellington, Dr. Margaret to everyone now, helped distribute toppings. She wore jeans instead of her usual professor attire, and her stern expression had been replaced by something softer, warmer. "Sprinkles or no sprinkles?" she asked each child on screen. Dr. Emily Zhang sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, going through emails. Even on Sunday, the LearnBuddy Institute received hundreds of messages daily. But she looked up often to smile at the chaos. "Alex," she called, "we got a message from the Australian Minister of Education. They want to implement LearnBuddy in 500 schools next month." "Cool," Alex replied, not looking up from where he was adding extra chocolate sauce to Sarah's bowl. "Did they include funding for internet access?" They did. Also tablets for every student who needs one. This was how Sunday afternoons worked now. Ice cream meetings where world-changing decisions happened between spoonfuls of chocolate, and giggling children on video calls. Elon walked in from his workshop, grease on his hands from whatever rocket part he'd been adjusting. "How's the revolution?" "Going, guys! Dad!" Alex called. "Want to join our meeting? Sarah's showing everyone her new design for helping kids with autism use LearnBuddy better." "In a minute. Let me wash my hands," Elon grinned. "Can't have rocket fuel contaminating ice cream research." "Actually," Sarah piped up from the floor, "Dr. Margaret, I have a question. My teacher says some other kids are jealous that I get to work on real research. Is that bad?" Dr. Margaret paused, ice cream spoon halfway to her mouth. "Sarah, what do you think?" "I think maybe we could invite them to help too? Like, different brains solve different problems, right?" "Exactly right." Dr. Margaret beamed. "What if we create a junior researcher program? Kids helping kids?" Alex's eyes lit up. "Ooh, like peer mentoring but for AI development?" "Why not?" Dr. Zhang looked up from her laptop. "Children understand children in ways adults sometimes miss." "Can we make it happen?" Alex asked eagerly. "Send me a proposal by Wednesday," Dr. Zhang teased. "In crayon, if you prefer." "Digital documents only," Alex shot back, grinning. "I may be 9, but I have standards." The conversation flowed like this for hours. Between ice cream flavors and video calls, between laughter and serious planning, they shaped the future of education. Later, as the sun began to set, they migrated to the backyard. The children on screen had logged off, promising to meet again. Next Sunday, Dr. Margaret helped Sarah with her homework. Regular homework, not research. Dr. Zhang taught Alex new Python functions while they tossed a frisbee. Elon fired up the grill. "You know," Lisa Chen said, appearing from the house with a pitcher of lemonade, "I never thought my job as an AI researcher would include weekly ice cream meetings." "Best meetings ever," Alex declared. "Can't we run all of SpaceX like this?" "Actually," Elon said thoughtfully, there's something to that. Some of our best rocket innovations come from the engineers who aren't afraid to ask why, like kids do. They ate dinner outside as stars appeared overhead. Conversations drifted from quantum physics to flavor combinations, from rocket trajectories to reading comprehension algorithms. "Dr. Margaret," Alex said suddenly, "do you ever think about that first night at MIT, when you were all tough and asking really hard questions?" She laughed. "Every day. I was so focused on protecting academic integrity that I almost missed something revolutionary." "You were doing your job," Alex said generously, "making sure I was real." "You were more real than any of us expected," Dr. Zhang added. Sarah looked up from her sketchbook. "I think Dr. Margaret was perfect that night." "How so?" Dr. Margaret asked, surprised. "You challenged Alex to be his best. But when you saw his real heart, you became his friend. That's what good teachers do. That's what we're trying to build with Learn Buddy. Systems that push kids to grow but love them where they are." The adults exchanged glances, struck by the wisdom of these children they'd started out trying to teach. As darkness fell, they moved inside. Sarah curled up on the couch with a book, fiction for fun. Alex sat at the piano, playing melodies. He was composing for Learn Buddy's new audio features. The adults gathered around the kitchen table, planning the next week's research agenda. But every few minutes, someone would look up and smile. Because this mix of serious work and silly moments, of ice cream and algorithms, of children's laughter and adult ambition, this was exactly what they'd been trying to create. A world where learning was joyful, where intelligence was kind, where technology served humanity's best impulses. Dr. Margaret's phone buzzed with a message. She glanced at it and chuckled. "What is it?" Dr. Zhang asked. "My old research partner from Harvard. He just saw my name on the Learn Buddy Institute papers. He can't believe I'm working with—" She paused, smiling. "With children and tech billionaires," was how he put it. "What did you reply?" Alex asked from the piano. "I told him it's the best research team I've ever had, and that he's welcome to visit next Sunday for ice cream and innovation." "But only if he brings sprinkles," Sarah called from the couch. "Especially if he brings sprinkles," Dr. Margaret agreed. As Alex played a gentle melody and Sarah turned pages, in her book, as the adults planned tomorrow while savoring today, as ice cream bowls sat empty and hearts remained full, the promise that had started that nerve-wracking night in Cambridge had been fulfilled. Not just the promise to change education or help struggling readers, but the simpler promise, the deeper one, that when brilliant minds combine with kind hearts, when children and adults listen to each other, when technology serves love rather than ego, that's when real magic happens. And that magic happened every Sunday over ice cream, in a house where rocket scientists and child prodigies, professors and cousins all sat together as equals. The revolution wasn't just in the code or the research papers. It was in the laughter between the equations, the hugs after the hard questions, the sprinkles on the ice cream. After all, the best innovations always start with the simplest questions. What if? Why not? How can we help? And sometimes, the best answers arrive with extra chocolate sauce. That was the end. Thank you for joining Alex, Dr. Wellington, and the team on their incredible journey from MIT's stage to changing the world. Where are you listening from? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed Alex's inspiring tale about using kindness and innovation to help others, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming narratives that spark imagination and hope. Don't forget to share this with your friends and family. Because like Alex's Learn Buddy, powerful ideas have the ability to help others believe in themselves. Together, we can spread kindness and awareness, one share at a time. Thanks for listening. And remember, the best innovations always start with the simplest questions.